All right, so welcome to our class once again. If you're watching from YouTube and you've not subscribed to our channel, please do well to click on the subscription button and set your notifications on for any new video. All right, so we would go into what we have today. We've been talking about in the past two classes, we talked about JavaScript. We actually have a couple of videos on our channel on HTML, CSS, and currently we are on JavaScript. Last two classes, we talked about the basics of JavaScript because you actually need a firm grip, firm understanding of the basics in order to be able to go into DOM JavaScript. That's document object model, right? So talked about variables, declaring of variables, talked about functions, talked about data types, Node.js to be a runtime for JavaScript. Of course, we talked about strings, arrays, talked about objects, talked about loops, right? So for loop, while loop, and we had some array methods. One of them push, pop, going down, talked about objects, how to assess elements or properties of an object. Of course, we demonstrated that. Then talked about the null data type. That's null is still a type of object, right? Talked about undefined, that when you declare a variable, for example, and you've not assigned it, so that variable by default will be undefined. So there's one that we skipped, and that's Boolean, right? Boolean. So Boolean is just true or false. That's really what Boolean is. So Boolean is true, is either it is true or it is false. So if you say maybe let's R, for example, to say maybe true, right? Already if you console log R, it tells you that type of, you see, even by hovering over R, already tells you, said let R is a Boolean, right? So that's a Boolean because it carries true. So if you have any other one to say, let's maybe let nights, for example, be equals to false. So you would see here that this is still a Boolean. Yeah, Boolean, because Boolean is just, if it is not true, is actually false. All right. But of course, we also talked about functions, different ways of writing functions. The arrow method, talked about the using function keyword, and these other method that's you have to declare a variable, assign it to the function, right? So we also did a little around DOM from this lines 132 to 143. So, but today we're just going to what we want to go into is operators, right? We want to start with operators before we actually go into DOM proper. So what we are gonna do is let's start on a fresh note to say let's create a new folder to call it class 12. Enter. Then there we are going to say, let's have an index.html, and let's equally have an app.js, right? So of course, within this index, we're going to have HTML5 to bring out our default document structure. And so we can now say JS, that's JavaScript operators. JavaScript operators and DOM, right? So at this point, of course, let's link our scripts. Script to say src /app.js, right? So JavaScript operators. So let's go to our app.js operators. So let's have that to say JavaScript operators, right? So so we have different operators in JavaScript. So first, we want to talk about arithmetic. Um, arithmetic operators. So, of course, in your mathematics, you can remember what arithmetic operators are, which you are going to demonstrate. So, arithmetic operators are like, so we have plus, right? We have plus, we have minus, we have, forward slash for division. We have um, asterisk for multiplication, and we have percentage for modulo. So this percentage is for, let me see, for modulo. Sorry, this percentage is for modulo. Okay, so modulo, yeah, modulo. Then we have assignments, right? Assignment operators. So the assignment operators, we have stuff like plus equals, minus equals, so we have um, times, which is asterisk equals, and we have divided by equals. So forward slash and equal. So we are going to go into that. So that's assignment operators. We have comparison. Okay, so let me comment. Comparison operators, right? Comparison operators, we have, we have double equal to, not equal to, we have less than, we have, of course, greater than, we have less than or equal to, we have greater than or equal to, we have strictly equal to, strictly equal to, then we have not strictly equal to. So let me just put a comment here to say this is strictly equal to, while this is not. So anyway you see this sign, the exclamation mark in JavaScript is not, like it negates, right? Just like saying it is not. So here you can say not strictly. I'm going to still explain. Strictly equal to, right? Then we also have logical operators. We have logical, yeah. So let me close this. Okay. So we have logical operators. So logical operators, And there we have stuffs like double ampersand. What else? We have stroke, double stroke. We have, or double bar, anyone. We also have not. I've mentioned that. So when you see exclamation is logical not. It's a logical not operator. Before we now go into conditional statements, right? Then after this conditional statement, we just go into, that's when we now go into our DOM JavaScript. Yeah. All right. So let's demonstrate arithmetic operators. So let's have, maybe let's use A. Let A equals to, so let's say maybe A was 2, for example. So we can now say, so we can console.log. So A, so we can now say console.log A plus maybe 19. Console.log A plus 19. Of course, same mathematics, right? So if you have let maybe B equals to 3, for example, then of course you can check minus, right? To say, so we can even say B minus A, right? So we can say console.log. Okay, so let's console.log A minus B. A minus B. What else can we do? So we can console.log A asterisk, that's A times B. Then we can console.log A divided by B. Then we can console.log modulo to say A modulo B. So A modulo B is just going to give you the remainder. That's what modulo means. It gives you the remainder after division. Of course, in your mathematics, that's really what it is. It gives you the remainder after division. So that's what modulo does. So if we run this, so we expect this to be 19 plus. Okay, so let's just run it to say, let's bring up our terminal, and let's copy the relative part so that we can know what to run. Copy relative part, close, come here to say node, then you drop the relative part and you click enter. So you can see. So A equals to 2. So when you console log A plus 19, of course, you are expecting 21. Then we now declared B to be 3. So when you console log A minus B, of course, that's 2 minus 3. So that gives us minus 1. So when you console log A times B, A is 2, B is 3. So 2 times 3, you're expecting 6. When you console log A divided by B, right? So 2 divided by 3 is 0.66666. Then, so when you console log A modulo B, so what is going to give you is, that's 2 divided by 3, 0 remainder 2, right? That's what happens. So it gives you the remainder after division. So here it's like saying 2 divided by, or the remainder. So it's like saying remainder of, let me see, remainder after division. But let me just say that it's like saying remainder of the division. So we can say remainder of the division between A and B. A. Okay, let's do this. Just say A and B. Right. So if we now say 2 modulo 3, it means 2 divided by 3. When you say 2 divided by 3, it's like saying 2 over 3. So that's going to be 0 remainder 2. So this is the remainder, which is 2, and it's actually going to give you that output. Then we have assignment operators. So with this is just to show you that with all of these signs, you can use them to do your arithmetic, maybe your calculations, right? Maybe you have something that's, so for example, let's say you are building a calculator, right? Maybe you are building a calculator, for example. So you might see stuff like this, arithmetic operations, where you need to use them, plus, minus, divided by, asterisks, and all of that. Then assignment operators. So assignment operators, you have plus, equals, right? So maybe you can say so we stop that B, so we can say let's C equals to maybe 4, right? So if we now say so console.log C plus equal to maybe 6. So what this does, when you use the word plus, when you use the operator plus equals to, what it's going to give you is that you see that this console log will give us 10. Quite all right. But there is something else it does. It's going to assign. So remember we talked about it's going to reassign the value of C, or it will update the value of C to be 10. So the next time we want to say C plus maybe 5. Okay, so let's demonstrate. So you have let C equals to 4 and console.log C plus equals to 6. So first, let's see the output. It gives you 10. So what I would like to do is to comment out other console logs so that it doesn't bring some kind of confusion to us. So let me just see. Okay. So let me see. So let me clear my terminal. Let's run it again, right? So it comes up with 10, which is this. So if you now come here to say maybe console, or maybe you want to store the value, and maybe you want to say let's maybe D equals to C plus 5. So if you now at this point want to say let D equals to C plus 5, and you come here to say console.log D, like you want to see the output of D to say, okay, when C adds, or when you add 5 to C, what happens? So console.log D. So what you are going to see, what you are going to see is 10 plus 5. Let's see. So you can see that at this point, what we just did was we said we use the assignment operator plus equal. So plus equal is going to plus it. It's going to add whatever you've given to whatever is here, right? It's going to add it to the initial value of C, but it will not stop there. It will reassign the value of C to be equal to 10. So this C, which was once 4, on this line 26, it has two things have happened. We have had an output of, C plus equals to 6, which is 10. And also, that 10, value of 10 has been reassigned to C. So the updated value of C after line 26 is actually 10. So if we come to 29 and say, let D equals to C plus 5. So it's like saying, let D equals to 10 plus 5. But note, if you come here, right, to say, maybe let's just say, let E equals to maybe C plus 5. Let's do the same thing. So I want you to see before and after. This line 26 is actually before, because we are just saying add 5 to the value of C. Then on line 28, what we did was to bring in an assignment operator to say C plus equals to 6. Then on line 31, we said, oh, let D equals to C plus 5. Just add 5 to the value of C. And we said console log that value. So let's see what C plus 5 gives us before using the assignment operator. And let's equally see what C plus 5 gives us after using the assignment operator. So since we've said let E equals to C plus 5, we can say console.log E so that we will see the output. Console.log E, right? So that we see. So what we are expecting here, so when we say console.log E, what we are expecting here is we are expecting 9. Yeah. So we are expecting 9. And what we are expecting here is that we are expecting 10. What we are expecting here is 10 plus 5, which is 15. Okay, so that's not a console log. Let me come here. So what we are expecting here is results. We are expecting 15. So let's see. So, okay, so let's clear. And let's run it again. So you can see 9, 10, and 15, right? So this is, we just added 5 to C before we brought in the assignment operator. So at this point, just 5 to C, 5 plus C, which is 4, already that gave us 9. Then coming to line 30, we just said, oh, C plus equal, using the assignment operator, 6. So it's going to give us 10 and update the value of C. Then coming here, where we now say let D equals to C plus 5 is now going to be 10 plus 5, which will be 15. So the same thing happens with minus equal, is the same thing. So if we say minus equal, so I think what I would like to do is to let me comment out plus equal. Since we are using the same, let's just use the same variables. Console.log maybe C minus equal maybe 10. So it's actually going to do the subtraction, right? But after the subtraction, it's going to assign that new value to C. So here will still be 9, right? When you come here, you say C minus equal 10. So it's like saying 4 minus 10. So that's minus 6. So it's going to update the value of C to be minus 6. Then when it comes here to say C plus 5, that will be minus 6 plus 5, which is going to be minus 1. So let's check that out. So our result here, we are expecting that our result here to be 4 minus, that's minus 6. Then when we come here, So let's take this out for now. Or okay, so what we can do, I don't want to take that out. So let's do this. Okay, so let's leave that to be there. So what we can do is to console log, right? Console.log D at this line. What are we expecting? So we are expecting this console.log to yield so result equals, so we are expecting this to be this -6. So -6 plus 5, that's -1. -1. So sorry, -1. So let's check it out. So yeah, you can see. So we have 9, we have -6, then we have -1, right? Yeah, so let's clear. So same thing for asterisk, that's multiplication and equal to, same thing for this, you know, so you can always try it out by yourself. Yeah, it will give you the same thing. It's just the same principle. Okay, so comparison operators. So comparison operators are, so we have equal to, we have not equal to, we have less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, we have strictly equal to, and we have not strictly equal to. So let's look at examples. So if we say let's let me see, we stopped at D, maybe G. So we can say let G equals to maybe 10, for example, right? And we come to another line to say let H equals to string 10. So you can remember in our previous class, of course, we talked about string, right? So immediately you see it wrapped. Immediately you see your, the value wrapped in either single or double quotation mark. Automatically, you know that, oh, that's a string, right? So this is not a number. Like this is a number, line 44 is a number. So if you do type of G, it gives you a number, right? Number. But line 45 is not a number. It is a string. It's a string. Why? Because it's wrapped. Immediately it is wrapped, it converts it to string. It doesn't care what is there, whether it's number, whether it's special character, whether it is text, anything that is within this is going to convert it to string automatically. But here, it remains number because I've not wrapped it around anything. So now, let's start with this first one, comparison. So we can say console.log. We just want to see the output. So if you are comparing two things together, the response or the output is going to be a Boolean. So we've said that Boolean is either true or false. That's Boolean. So when you say console.log G, you are comparing. Remember this comparison operator. So you are comparing one thing with the other. So it's like saying, is this one same thing with this? Is going to give you an answer, yes or no, true or false. So let G equals to H. Let G equals to H. So you can console log G equals to H. So what you are saying here, when you say G equals to H, you are saying, it's like you're asking a question. Is G equal to H? So you're going to see, is G equal to H? It will tell you that it is equal. So let's see. So it gave us true. It said that it is true that G is equals to H. So you may ask, how? So what it just did was that when it came to H, since H is a string, but it found out that there's a number inside. So what the compiler did was to convert this number from string to, like, it converted, H from string to number and compared two of them, right? So when you use equal to, that's double equal to, what it's going to do is it's like left-hand side and right-hand side. So if there's any one that is for example, you are comparing numbers, right? Maybe one of them is quoted in a string, the other one is not. So immediately you say, is the left-hand side equals to the right-hand side? It's going to look, okay, what's in the right-hand side? A string or a number wrapped in string. So it will convert that string to number and compare to tell you that, oh, it's equal or it's true. But now if you say strictly, so console.log g, strictly is 3 equal to sign gh. So at this point it's just, so let me say you are just normal, so you can just say maybe normal equality sign, right? Normal equality comparison. While this one is strict. This one is strict equality comparison. So this one is actually going to compare the value and also compare the type, right? You know that the left-hand side is a number. The right-hand side is a string. So when you say console.log g strictly equal to h, it's going to check the number on the left, is it equal to the number on the right? When it comes to the right, it's going to find out that, oh, this is a string. Immediately it sees that the left hand is a number and the right hand is a string, it will fail. It's going to tell you false. It's not strictly equal. So strict equality comparison is going to compare both the value and will equally compare the type, right? So strict equality sign, sign, let me say sign, compares both the value and type, data type. So you can say data type. So if you run this, you see that it's false. It failed because the left hand is a number, right hand is a string. So it doesn't want, immediately you say strict. Strict is that I want that what is on the left, I want to see exactly what is on the left, on the right, exactly. So now, so what if you had changed this to maybe instead of 10, let's say 5? What's going to happen to, so this one is going to fail. The first one is going to tell us false, because by the time it converts 5 to number and it says, oh, is 10 equals to 5? Definitely 10 is not equal to 5. So this one is going to return false. Then when it comes here to say, oh, 10. Okay, so first it checks the type. Oh, this number, oh, this string. Immediately it just fails it. Yeah. So, but if two of them were numbers and they were not strictly equal, it will still fail. So what I mean by that is, so what if we had another number to say, let I equals to maybe 11. Yeah. So this is a number now. This is number. So what if we compared G and I? That's for strictly equal to. Strictly equal to. So you would see that the type will pass, number will pass, number, but it will not check, is 10 equal to 11? No. So this one will fail. G and H, it will fail because when it converts H to number, it will now check. So is 10 equals to 5? No. So it is on that basis, two of them are going to fail the test. You see, false, 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 false. So telling you that strictly equality sign compares both the type and the value. That's both the data type and the value. While normal equality sign will convert, it's going to convert it to a number. If the left-hand side is a number, it's going to convert the right-hand side to a number and try to compare them. So, of course, so not equal to is the same thing. It's just like a negation. So, so if you say, so this is already false, right? So if you now use not, of course, it will return true because you are saying not, you are negating it. So console.log g not equal to h. Of course, g is not equal to h, so it's going to return true. It's true that g is not equal to h because by the time it converts h to 5, so is 10 equals to 5? No. So it's true that 10 is not equal to 5. So this one is going to return, this one will return true, right? It will return true. So let's just see. So you see, false, false, true. It's going to return true because, of course, it's true that it's not. Then, let me see. Strictly not. Let's use strictly not to say, so console. These are just, operators that you can use to make comparison. So if you say console.log, G is not strictly equal to I. So what do you expect? You expect that it's going to turn out true. It just turned out true because G is 10. I is 11. So 10 is not equal to 11, right? So immediately you say G, which is 10, is not strictly equal to 11, I, which is 11. It will return true that it is not. Yeah. So, yeah, so that's that. So we expect to have false, false, true, true. So, yeah, so false, false, true, true. So you can also play around. This less than, this greater than, normal with, okay, so console.log. So we have G, H, and I. So let's just say H. So if you say H greater than, let me see, H greater than, okay, so let's make H 50. Let's make H 50. So H greater than I. So what if we say H greater than I? What's going to happen? Is it going to convert? Okay. So same thing is actually going to convert. So what happened? It returned true because it converted H to 50 to number first and decided to say, oh, so is 50 greater than 11? Of course, 50 is greater than 11. So it's going to return true. So same thing with less than sign. So let me just do greater than or equal to. So console.log. Let me see. So I want to say, so I want something to return false. So G greater than or equal to H, okay? So is G greater than or equal to 8? What is it going to return? It's false. It's going to be false. G is not. To return false. So let's clear and run it. So it says it's true. Let me see. G, okay, so I made it 8. Oh, 8. So what's G? 10. So it's so now I put 8 here instead of I wanted to say H. So I put 8. And of course, you know that 10 is greater than or equal to 8. So let's make it H, yeah? I intended to say H. Okay, so yeah. So I expect us to have false now to say that G, okay, greater than or equal to H. Okay. So it's like saying 10, is 10 greater than or equal to 50? Of course, it's not. So let's clear and let's run. It's false. That is the last console log. It's false. So you can play around with the rest, and these are comparison operators. And so when I say comparison operators, it's actually going to yield a Boolean. So it yields or returns. You can any of them. So it yields or returns a Boolean. And of course, you know that Boolean is either true or false. Okay. All right. So that's comparison operators. So let me comment out all of this console log in one batch so that I can go ahead. All right. Okay, so logical. So logical, of course, I've already demonstrated logical NOT, that logical NOT will always negate. If something was true before and you say not, it's going to turn it to false. If it was false before and you say not, it's going to turn it to true. So that's really not, that's the logical NOT operator. But now we have ampersand, that's logical and this logical or. So let me put it here to say logical and these two pipes is logical or, and this one is not. This one just signifies not or negation. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so let's demonstrate. Okay, so I think we'll still use maybe GH. Okay, so let me copy this. Let's go here and drop here. So we already have GHI, so I can say J K L. Okay. So so I want to test something. I want to use AND. So for logical AND, right? What is on the left side and what is on the right side must be true for that sentence to be true. Left-hand side, right-hand side must be true and true. Left is true, so TRUE, true and true. So this is what it's expecting. It's expecting what is on the left side to be true and what is on the right side to be true for it to return true. For it to return true. If it finds out that one of the conditions or one of the parameters on either the left or right is false, it's going to evaluate to false. So if you come here to say so console.log, I'm going to demonstrate it better. Console.log true, logical, and true is actually going to give you true. Yeah. So let me clear. And it will evaluate to true. But if one side is false, maybe you had, instead of true and true, you had false on the left-hand side. Maybe whatever condition you put on that left is false. It's actually going to evaluate to false. Right? Then if you had true on the left-hand side, and you now had something that evaluated to false on the right-hand side, is actually going to evaluate still to false. So for logical AND, what is on the left-hand side and what is on the right-hand side must be true for it to evaluate to true. If one of the conditions is not true, it will evaluate to false. So we can, we can console log this. So we did console log true and true. So I'm still going to demonstrate it with real examples, but just to let you know. So next will be false and true, false and true. Next is going to be true and false. So if what is on the, so you would see that this one will evaluate. So true is true, true is going to evaluate to true. False, true is going to evaluate to false. True, false is going to evaluate to false. Then false, false. If it is false and it is false, it will evaluate to false. So we are expecting true here and every other thing false. Let's see. So let's run it. So you can see true and true. Yeah, it says true. False and true, it says false. True and false, it said false. False and false, false. So let's give a real example, but I just wanted to make you to see that demonstration. So if we say, let's say maybe J, right? J less than K, right? So when you say J less than K and L greater than J. Yeah. So you can store this in a variable, maybe M. Okay. So you can store this in a variable and you can now console log M. Console.log M. So what did we do here? Let's look at it. So we declared a variable M to say, these are conditions. So you can even put this in brackets. So that to evaluate, if it to evaluate it first. Okay. Just for better understanding. So what we just did was to say, we just said J is already defined to be 10, right? And K is 11, right? So we now said 10 is like saying 10 less than 11. Is 10 less than 11? Yes. So here is true. Left hand is true. And come to the right hand side to now check L. What's L? 11. What's J? 10. Is 11 greater than 10? Yes. So this is true and this is true. So when you console log M, it's going to give you true. So this comparison sign will return Boolean, to still return a Boolean, because the left-hand side is true, right-hand side is true. So it's going to give you true, right? So let's console log that. So what I want to do is to this console log, let me comment it so that it will not impact what we are doing. Okay. So let's console log M. So what we are expecting here, we are expecting M to give us true, because the condition on the left is true and the condition on the right is equally true. So if we clear and we run it, it gives us true. So, but if the condition, so if we said J greater, instead of less than, we say greater than K. So already, what is J is 10. K is 50. So when it converts 50, it will now be 10 and 50. So the question is 10 greater than 50? No, 10 is not greater than 50. So this left-hand side will evaluate to false, and this right-hand side evaluates to true. So it's still going to bring out false, like we did here. So so here we now change to it. So it will now be false. False. So if we run it, we are going to have false, right? So you can play around. Okay, so let's do the AND. the or. Sorry, this is logical or. So we've talked about and. Okay, so I would still like to use this LK and JKL. So let's use or. So logical or is that one of the sides has to be true for it to evaluate to true. So this is, let me see. Let me do some writing to say, for logical, let's say for logical and, which is the ampersand. So for logical and, the two sides have to evaluate to true for that expression to be true, right? To be true. Else it will return false. Else it's going to return false. So the two sides have to be true. Then for logical or, for logical or, which is the two pipes, this. So for this, one of the sides, it doesn't care. One of the sides, must evaluate to true for it to be true. For it to be true. Or for the statement to return true or something. Yeah. So that's really what it is. That's for the or, right? So we can go ahead to check. So if we say let's this is L M N. So if we say let n equals to, we want to test or now. So one side can be true, one side can be false. It will still give us or it will still give us true. So parenthesis. So here K, so we can say K is greater than L, which is false. K greater than L. So K is, when it converts, it's going to give us 50. Okay, 50 greater than, yeah, so 50 is greater than 11, yeah? So this is true. So let's make something false here. So we can say L, which is 10, is less than 2. So L less than 2, okay? So let's use that number. So we can console.log n. So let's look at it again. We said n is a variable to be equal to k. What is k? It's going to convert k from string to number. So it is going to be 50. So 50 is 50 greater than 11. Yes, 50 is greater than 11. So this is true. So this is saying true, or we now have L. L is 11. So we said 11 less than 2. Is 11 less than 2? No, 11 is not less than 2. So this evaluates to false, and this evaluates to true. So when you console log n, it's going to give us true. So let me remove this other console log. Let me comment it out. Okay, so we have just n here. I believe there's no other console log. Every other one is commented. Okay, so let's run. Clear. You can see it returns true. It returns true because one of them is true. If two of them are false, that's when it will return false. But as long as one of them is true, if both of them are true, it's true. Because it's either true or true, and it's still true. If it is true or false, then it tells you that it's true. If it is false or true, it tells you that it's true, right? If it is false, false, then I'll say, oh, it's false. So let's demonstrate false, false, something that will make both of them to be false. So let's say K is greater than. So let's say K is less than. So you know K is 50, so 50 less than L, which is 11. Is 50 less than 11? No. Come here. L is 11, so you now say 11 less than 2. Is 11 less than 2? No. So this is false and this is false. So let's come to log n. So we are expecting to have false. Let me see. Yeah, so it gives you false because one of the sides, because the two sides are false. So what if the two sides were true? K greater than L, which is true, it's still going to give us true. And L greater than 2, which is true. So this is true and this is true. It's going to give us, to still give us true. So that's logical OR. Logical OR is that one of the sides has to be true for it to evaluate to true. Conditional statement before we enter DOM JavaScript. So condition is just, of course, in JavaScript. So so if you have, it's just the use of if, else if, then else. That's just what condition is. So we can say maybe let temperature maybe let temperature equals to maybe 36, maybe 36. Maybe room temperature, so we can say 36. So we can say if temperature is greater than 36, if it is greater than 36, then we can now say, oh, console.log maybe ouch, the room is hot. The room is hot. I need a fan. Yeah. See, if the temperature is greater than 36, just tell us that the room is hot, so and you actually need a fan. Else. So you can now say else. If you know you're going to have, so this is the syntax. Maybe I didn't, let me just show you the syntax. So you have if keyword, then after if you're going to have parentheses, then within the parentheses you have condition. Then after the parentheses you will have curly brace. So this is it. If, then condition, then curly brace. Then if you want to chain it with else if will come. Let me give multi-line comments. So if you want to chain it with else if, so else if will come here, else if, and we still have a condition. Then after the condition, you still have curly brace. Then you can now have an else. So else, just curly brace, you know. Else is, if it is not this condition, else, if this condition, or no, if this condition, do this, you're going to put, because you're going to write something within this block of code. From this curly brace to this curly brace, you're going to write something. So you are saying, if this condition is met, do something. So that do something is what you write on line 97, right? So you can say, so you can put it to say action, what you want to happen. Then after that, you close your curly brace, and next is else if condition again. Curly brace opens. Then, of course, you write something, maybe action. You should do something. Then else, if it is not this, then any other thing. Action, do this, action. So this is the syntax. If, else, if, else. So I'm demonstrating it with temperature to say, oh, let temperature be 36. So if temperature is greater than 36, then tell me that, oh, the room is hot and I need a fan. Else, if temperature is equal to strictly equal, or maybe within a range. So I can now bring in a range. I want to bring in a range. So if temperature, okay, so you can say if temperature is, I want to bring in the temperature between maybe 30 degrees to 35 degrees. 30 degrees to 35. To just say, oh, that temperature is mild. So else, if temperature is less than or equal to 30 and temperature, so if it is less than or equal to 30 and it does not exceed, temperature is less than 34. So you can see here, I said if temperature is less than or equal to 30, well, remember temperature is 36. So I said if it is less than or equal to 30, less than or equal, I'm actually supposed to give a greater than because I want it to read from 30 up. So I want it to just be from 30 greater than or equal to 30, meaning that it can be 30, it can be 31, it can be 32, it can be 33. And remember, this is true. And temperature less than 34, right? So as it reads, it can be 30, it can be 31, it can be 32, it can be 33. It will stop there. If this condition is met, if it is within that range, so what I can do is to say, else, if temperature is within this range, so what I want to say is console.log, console.log, maybe I think the room temperature is mild. Then next one will be else. Else, else, console.log, console.log, console.log. Oh, wow. What temperature is this? Okay. So this is condition, right? We are talking about conditional statements. The use of if, the use of else if, and the use of else. So we decided to demonstrate it with temperature. So we initially said that, oh, temperature should be 36. That's like 36 degrees. So we said, if that temperature is greater than 36, then console.log, ouch, the room is hot, I need a fan. Else, if the temperature is greater than or equal to 30, so it starts from 30 and goes up, and you know, when you use and, the two have to be true, and temperature is less than 34. So this and this will combine together to start from 30, 31, 32, 33. So you now say console.log, I think the room temperature is mild. Else, console.log, oh wow, what temperature is this? So let us see. Let's run. So temperature is 36 here. So what are we going to see? It will not, this first condition will not be true. So it will go else. Is the temperature greater than or equal to 30 and less than 34? It will not be true. It will come here. So this console.log would not execute, will not run, will not see it. So it now comes here else, because here we did not specify anything, any condition. So any other thing that happens apart from these two conditions is going to, like this line 112 is actually going to capture it. So you can use if else to say, if this, do this, else. If the condition is this, let it be this, else. So at the end of the day, if you have captured all that you needed to capture within the conditions, you can now come to say finally else. Just do any other thing. Or you can even have just if. You can just have an if statement. Just if. You can have if else. You can have if else if else. So here we are having if, else if, and else. So let's run it. Let's clear and run. So you see it says, oh wow, what temperature is this? Because it couldn't pass, this condition. So because it did not pass this condition, it could not console log this for us. It now went down to line 109 to say, oh, what's the condition here? Temperature is greater than or equal to 30. Yeah, it is. It's greater than or equal to 30. But it now says, and temperature is less than 34. So it now said, oh, I'm 36. I'm actually greater. So it does not print. It does not console log this. Then it comes here to say else. Okay, there's no condition. So I can actually console log here. So you now see, oh, wow, what temperature is this? But what if we had said else if temperature is greater than or equal to 30, or if we had brought in the or? So at this point, it's going to evaluate to true. And what you're going to see is that you're going to see, I think the room temperature is mild. And you are equally going to see you're equally going to see, oh, wow, what temperature is this? Why? Because when it comes here, it's going to say, oh, temperature greater than, I'm 36. So am I greater than 30? Yes, I am. So there's now an or to say temperature less than 34. Is 36 less than 34? No. But remember, since it is an or, and one of them is true, it's actually going to evaluate to true, and whatever is in this block of code will run. So this is a practical example, clear, and okay. So what happened was, I think the room temperature is mild. Only that one ran, and else is like any other thing. Like if the condition was not stated here and condition was not stated here, then just print this as the last option for me. But here, as it came to line 107, it did not meet this condition. It came to line 109, it met the condition. So it took this action by console logging. I think the room temperature is mild. Coming to this final else, because it has already met this condition and taken this action, this else, it will not go again, right? It wouldn't go. It only went at the point where we had and, the ampersand or logical and operator here. So it had to just go to the last and print to say, oh, whatever it is, you've not given me any condition. I can actually print. So I think the temperature is mild. But now if we make the temperature to be 37, let's make it 37. So if we make it 37, we expect that we are going to have, ouch, the room is hot, I need fan. So let's clear. So it's the first condition. Now says, ouch, the room is hot, I need a fan. So because we've made the temperature to be 37, so by so doing, it meets the first condition. So that is conditional statement. So DOM, let's just do DOM JavaScript. So we round off. So DOM JavaScript is just like I said. DOM stands for document object model, right? Then document object model. So here we have different ways of, assessing. You can say methods of assessing the DOM. So, okay, so first, let me just give you something pictorial that you can, look out for. Let me show you. Just to say DOM. So let me just check some images of the DOM. So let me see the one I'll likely show you. Okay, let's go here. Let's actually visit the page. Okay, so let me zoom. Okay. So you can see, let me zoom a little bit. Okay. All right. So this is what the DOM tree looks like, right? Everything is object. And remember we had in our last class, we discussed about objects to say that, objects have key value pairs, and to assess properties of an object, you use the dot notation to assess the properties, dots. So yeah, so you can see documents. I've been talking about HTML document. So your document is at the top, but there's something else before document anyway, and that is Windows. So Windows is just your entire, window here, entire browser window. That's what window does. Like, that's what Windows stands for or represents. It represents your entire browser window. So with Windows, you can, do a lot. You can use that Windows to maybe check when your page is loaded. You can use that Windows to check when, a user visits your website, or when your website is loaded. You can use that Windows to check a lot of things, right? But there's Windows actually before document. So after Windows comes the document, right? So this document is this. Let me show you. Let me go to HTML. So okay, so we are actually going to take a little bit more time. We started by 10:30, so we didn't start exactly 10. So we are going to stay till the next maybe 20 minutes. Okay, so this document here, is this line 1, right? We have doc type HTML. That's more like, oh, this is the document. Then root elements, where you have HTML, is actually this HTML here. Can you see? That is the roots. If you collapse this HTML, so you can see this is the document, and this is that HTML that you are seeing here, roots. Then it now gives branches of the roots to say, oh, so one side is element head, to the other side is another element called body. So same thing, if you come here, if you open up this HTML, you're going to see head and you're going to see body, right? So you have head, you have body. Within the head, you have title and others. There's metadata, And if you come to our head here, open it, you can see title, another data, metadata. So you can see title here. Then if you come to body, you would see body just has elements. So you can see H1, you can see A, which is anchor tag. Then you can see you now have attributes. So attributes are part of elements. You understand? They're actually written within the opening tag of an element. So you see how JavaScript is going to be able to traverse each of these. These are nodes, It's going to traverse through each of these. It can go down to it can target the HTML, can target this element, body, can target the head, can target this, and then within this element A, like anchor tag, you're going to have a text called maybe like my link. Then within H1, you can have a text called my header or any other text. Then title, you can have my title. And in this case, my own title is JS operators and DOM. That's my own title. So, but it's just showing you sample, you know. So because of this, JavaScript actually has the power to do a lot of things, manipulation, right? That's where we now bring the DOM manipulation. You now hear about DOM manipulation, right? So yeah, so let me see. So now going to our JavaScripts. So I said first is the methods of accessing the DOM. So we have a couple of methods to access the DOM. I just showed you what the DOM is. So a couple of methods. So we have documents dot get elements by ID, right? We have documents dot get elements by class name. Yeah. Then we also have documents dot get elements by tag name. Then we have documents dot query selector. Okay, so all of these have parentheses because they are methods. Then after that, you now have documents dot query selector all. So this one is going to return, let me see. This one will return, it's going to return the first element, yeah. So the first element with the specified ID, yeah. So specified ID. So within this ID, you are going to give, so since it's an ID, just give name of, so you can say name of ID will be here, right? Then when you now have document dot, let me number it 1, then come to 2. So when you have document or get elements by class name, you're actually going to bring in the name, the class name. I don't know, maybe name of class. You can say name of class. So it's going to return an array. So it will return, this one returns an array like object of all the elements that match that class name. So that's why, remember, I had said in HTML and CSS that in styling, right, when you want to give an ID, your whole HTML document must have one single ID, like a unique ID all around. But class name, you can use different class names, maybe like a list, give it same class name. It doesn't matter. So that's because you want to perform the same operation on all those classes. So, but tag name is the name of tag. So you can have H1, you can use it to target your H1 in your HTML. So when you say like H1, it's going to return all the H1s in your HTML document. So this one returns, I don't have much time to demonstrate all of this. So, but let me just do the writing. But I'm going to demonstrate with query. Okay, maybe I will demonstrate with ID and query selector. or okay, so maybe class name and query selector, yeah, because of time. So H1, so document or get element by tag name is actually going to return, it returns all the elements with that tag name. That's what it does. Then query selector. So whatever you put here, so query selector can take ID, it can equally take a class. So, but how do you do it? You do something like this, and if it's going to be an ID, it will be hash name of ID, name of ID. If it's going to be a class, it will be dot name of class, name of class. Then I think it also takes tag name. So, but this is how query selector works. You can use query selector to get ID, use query selector to get name of class. You can also use query selector all to get like maybe class name, query selector all is actually going to return an array. That's what it does. It returns an array. From there, you can loop through it. Name of class is going to return one single, the first item with that class name. ID, same thing. So I think with this, I'll just demonstrate. I want to just demonstrate ID, class name, and query selector. So let's go to our HTML. Let me just create maybe H1 and give it maybe to say, we don't write much. So let's just say heading one or heading one. So let's give it an ID of maybe head. Then let's have like maybe P and say paragraph. Okay. So let's give it a class actually. So class of maybe paragraph class. So now we have tags H1, we have P paragraph, then we have ID head, then we have class paragraph. So we are saying that with JavaScript, you can be able to access, access this line 10 because it is on the DOM. That's document object model, which I had demonstrated. Is on the DOM. So you can target this line 10. You can equally target this line 11 using those methods. So let's say we want to target the ID of head. So we can say, so let's use a variable to hold it so that we can console log it. So const head. Maybe we can say const head equals to document dot get element by ID. Then we put the ID as a string. So we put the ID head. So that's head. So if we console log head, let's console.log head just to show you. So what happens? Let me see. Okay, so at this point, because we are not bringing in the DOM, right? That's why we are having error here. So, but what you are gonna do is we will not use this for this DOM since we are dealing directly with the DOM. So what we are gonna do is just to go to our index.html, we'll run it, open with live server. Then we inspect, go to our console. Okay, so you can see this is it. Okay, so let me make it clearer. Let me say, let me go to our JS to say, instead of just head, so let me say, let's say our head or head, our heading is, or our heading element, so that to be clear, is head. So we are console logging this head, but we want to just give a message to say, oh, our heading element is, so is this. So let's check. So you can see, it says our heading element is H1 with an ID of head and text heading 1. Do you see? So with this, you can access the element in the DOM. So since you now have a hold of this element, you can do a lot of things that you want. You can change the background color. You can change the text. You can even change this text here. You can change this text heading 1 to another text that you want. You can change this ID. You can change this ID from head to another, maybe tail, if you want to give it tail. So the main thing is that you have a hold of this element. So with this element, you can just do a lot. You can, let me see. So let's do some stuffs. So head, remember it's head. So we can, okay, so before we do that, remember I wanted to say get elements by ID, get elements by class name, and get element and query selector. So let me just do those three first before I continue. So let's say const what am I trying to do? Const paragraph. Okay. So I can say const paragraph equals to document dot get elements by class name. Get elements by class name. So what's our class name? Our class name is paragraph. That's class name. So if you now say paragraph, so if you now console.log paragraph, you will see that paragraph. So with this get element by class name, it's actually going to target this guy. Then if we add up to 2, let's say we add up to 2, maybe two HTML elements with same class name, right? So what's going to happen? Same class name. You see that it will take these two. So let me change this one from paragraph to say maybe second, just to make a little difference. Second paragraph, right? So if we now check, let's see. So can you see that it gives us a HTML collection? So HTML collection is array-like, is an array. So you can see we use the square brackets for arrays. And this is what it gives us, HTML collection. So you can open it up. So it tells you that the first is a paragraph. And, second is also a paragraph. You can see this is this is an array of all that have that class names paragraph. So it tells you that it is P, it has the P tag, then it is dots, which is a class dot paragraph. So it tells you that, oh, it has found 2 elements. And you see, if I put my cursor here and you look at my web page, you see where it is pointing or highlighting. You put on the second one, you see the second P. So to show you that you can grab or access or take hold of the elements within a web page using these stuffs. Get elements, these methods, right? This element by ID, elements by class name. So I said the third one is query selector. So const maybe head 2 equals to document dot query selector. So when you want to query selector, you need to put what the selector is. So like now, remember that this is an ID of head. I still want to target this head, but it is an ID. You see that here we did not put hash, but here, because we are querying the selector, so we don't know, it can be any selector. It could be a tag, it could be a class, it could be an ID. So in order for you to differentiate it or to tell it what exactly it is, you need to start with the, if it is an ID, you need to start with hash before the name of the ID. If it is a class, you need to start with dot before the name of the class. So, but here we are targeting an ID. So the ID is hash head. So we can now console.log. We can now console log head 2. And you'll see that it will still give us, it will still target that same element, that same head, right? So let's see. So you can see it still target the same element with ID of head. If you hover over it, you will see it. So you can use any of these query selector head to target them. Then you can create, right? You can create elements. So with this, you can create elements. So you can come here. Let me see. So let me see. So we want to create, right? We want to create an element now. So let me say document, maybe const, maybe heading, right? So heading equals to document dot create. You can create an element from JavaScript. You can create an element and you give it a tag. Maybe you want to create H1, for example. So you can create H1 on line 143. Then after creating H1, what we want to do, so this H1 will create the left and right tags. Okay, so let me console log so that as I'm doing, you would see what is happening. So let's console log heading. So let's see. So do you see? When I say document.create, so it creates an element for me with the tag left and with the tag right. So if I now come here, so now I want to put a text within, something inside. So I can say heading dot what? Dot create, no, dot inner. I can use inner HTML to say maybe this is heading 2. So if you console log console.log heading, it's still on the heading, console.log heading. So let's see what heading has turned into. Let me comment this first one. After adding the inner HTML to say this is heading 2. So let's see. So can you see? I've created an element and I've put in a text inside it with JavaScript, not with HTML. So I can now come here to say append. Maybe I want to append. So tap. So I can say maybe head 2. Let me see. Head 2 dot append heading. Let me see. So you can see it show here. This is heading 2. We created this with JavaScript. It's not in our HTML, remember. So when we said, so what are the steps here? The first one is that we created the elements, right? First step is that we created the element. That's the first step. What was the second step? Second step is that we created the text. We created the inner text. You can call it so. Remember. So what happened? Then after that, what did we do? We appended it to the HTML document. So we appended it to the HTML document. So we said head 2, because this head 2, like, let's say after creating it, so the question is, where do you want to put it in your HTML? Where? Is it up here? Is it after the second paragraph? So anyway you want to append it, if you want to put it below the second paragraph, then you need to target this second paragraph and tell it that second paragraph dot append. So when you now say dot append, it's actually going to append it below it. But why it is appending after heading 1 is because we had said head 2. And remember that head 2 actually targets that heading 1. Like, it targets that heading 1. So when we now say dot append, it's actually going to append it under, just directly under it. So this is how we can use JavaScript to create or to, manipulate the HTML. So we can also use this DOM JavaScript to manipulate the CSS. So just still on this same heading that I created, let me apply CSS to it, just so that you will see. So that's why it's called JavaScript brings in that dynamism, right? So we've created it, right? So what we can do is we can set an attribute. Let me see. Let's set attributes. So we can say heading. So heading dots set attributes. So it's going to take in an ID. So we want to give it an ID. And that ID we want to say dynamic. Maybe we want to say dynamic HTML or dynamic elements. So we want to give it ID of dynamic elements. So let's console log heading. console.log heading. So what do you see? Console.log heading. So you can see it. So we've now created an attribute. We've created an ID dynamically with JavaScript to say dynamic element. So I can now target this dynamic element with the ID of dynamic element and style it. So this is just me showing you how JavaScript interacts with HTML, and also how JavaScript interacts with CSS. So I can target this element with the ID of dynamic elements and give it background color or any other style. I think let's do that finally before we close the class. So let's do that. So we can say const dynamic element equals to documents dot query selector. Then we give it hash of dynamic elements. So we've targeted it. So what we can do is to say dynamic element dot style. So now we are going to CSS. That's why we have dot style. Dot style dot style dot I don't know, maybe background color. Let's see. Background color equals to, maybe we want to give it green. Let's see. So you can see I've used JavaScript to style. So you can do a lot of things. Like there's no limit, right? I've used that to give it a green. I can change the text color if I like. still with JavaScript, I can change the text color. Maybe I want to change the text color to dynamic element dot style. You still say dot style dot color equals to, okay, no, font size, sorry. I want to change, no, yeah, the color of the text. So I want to change it to white. So you will see it's going to change. So this is where JavaScript comes in, right? With JavaScript, you can work on the HTML, you can remove, right? You can create HTML elements, remove them, you can hide them, a whole lot, right? Then for CSS, of course, with JavaScript, you can apply all the CSS stylings just from JavaScript. Yeah, so, all right, so I think get to stop here.